Hi, I want to make a fairly simple video on the subject of how there's purpose. You know, like the whole futility argument. Obviously, there's no futile. It's futile in the sense that you can only change the reality so much. Life is built upon and predicated upon a very flawed system, regardless of the fact that it still exists doesn't mean it's not flawed. Just because we're existing doesn't mean it's not flawed. Life to begin with is flawed by its very nature. So you can't, by its very nature, it's synonymous. Life with flaw. Life means flaw. And it's existing in a certain way. It wasn't meant to happen. Life's a flaw by its very probability too. It's 1-to-1, but the likelihood and how often it's happened shows that it's a very fundamental flaw in the existence of nature. Because by square inch of the universe, life exists on a very small portion. So it shows that it's a flaw in and of itself. And just because it exists doesn't mean it's right. Just because the universe deems it so to exist doesn't mean it's right. Sort of like the Trail of Tears happened doesn't mean it's right. So along the lines, just because you're experiencing pain, it's not the right amount of pain. It goes back to the whole idea of equilibrium and such, and I've already gone over that before. But you know, the whole idea that there's futility in the world, and you can only change it so much, but there's never true futility in the sense that you can always find something to help mitigate against the futility. It's still futile, but there's always something there to accomplish, and the accomplishment is obviously a zero-sum game, and that's part of the futility in existence, the fundamental bedrock futility of existence. But there's still something to fight for, and the fact is you're gonna have to constantly fight, and existing is fighting, and that's the flaw of nature, is fighting and deprivation, and that's the thing that we're talking about. The very nature of existence is flawed. The bedrock, the fact that you have to fight, and it's a zero-sum game. You're constantly fighting to satisfy. The same thing, it's about the chase, and once you satisfy, it's about the satisfaction. It's just a projection. It doesn't mean anything outside of yourself. It's about the value of the sentient being. It's all this futility, the bedrock of existence. You can't travel past the bedrock. Once you get to the core, once you're on the other side, there's only, once you dig your way from here to China, there's only China back to here. I mean, you're not going to be doing anything else. There's nothing beyond that. It's like, where do I go from here? I guess I have to go on the way back. I can't wait to get to the other side. I'm halfway through. I can't really wait. And there's only the other side to go back to. It's just a constant going back and forth kind of game, chasing your own tail. But you know, it's like seeing the purpose in others. That's my purpose. I'm going to see purpose in others. That's my purpose. I want to see a delusional fool. But see, the thing is the purpose is to see purpose in others. But the thing is recognizing life and having convinced people of this, if not just destroying and nuking us all from space or nuking us all against their will. Obviously, it wouldn't matter because it'd be instantaneous. If we all did it at once, you know, every square mile there's a nuke. But obviously that wouldn't happen. It'd be nuclear war, if anything, not that. But, you know, just convincing them of the purpose. It's my purpose to see purpose in others, but to get the message across to prevent more suffering is to take away that purpose from people and recognizing that there's no real purpose. And having everyone have the same purpose, which is no purpose except to eliminate life. And that's obviously predicated upon the lack of purpose beyond satisfying a deprivation. So once you have that, you're just not going to see purpose in anyone else. So it's about eliminating the purpose you see in other people. And that's my purpose, so that we can find a way to end this game. But there's only so much we can do. Because obviously it's about eliminating that purpose, and if you don't do that and you do it against your will, you're going to find that you're going to cause more deprivation than anything else. But obviously you're going to see it, and that's all you're going to see. You're preventing, say, more harm from what you can understand, but you're just going to see all sorts of horrid destruction and fighting and death, and it can make things worse. So it's about playing this game very safe, and there's nothing much you can do except fight that purpose machine. And obviously that's the thing, is finding purpose in others. You stitch up their leg and you see purpose in their eyes. You see satisfaction and a very happy person because they're no longer in pain. But then again, it's about, hey buddy, you know, your leg's better now, but you know, what are you going to do after your leg's better? You're going to go back to doing the same old thing, same old, same old? Well, I'm here to tell you why that doesn't mean much of jack shit. And that's obviously, once you do that and you've already gone the one-way trip, you know, there's nothing much to it once you've convinced them, and that's what you're trying to do to make this game no longer exist, to accomplish the goal that means something, as elimination of deprivation of deprivation and the pain and suffering. You know, you no longer see the purpose in someone else because you're eliminating that purpose, and their purpose is the same purpose as yours now. It's a mutual purpose, but that purpose leads to a dead end. The dead end is no longer experiencing deprivation. It's depressing in reality, but it's reality. I'm sorry. That's the way life is. That's life. Unfortunately, that's life. I mean, I'm not saying you can't get caught up in the game. Obviously, you can get caught up in the game. You can say, oh, I can't wait. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get laid tonight. Ooh, I can't wait for my next, cheesecake or whatever. I can't wait for my next, juicy, bloody steak. Oh, yum, 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 yum. or whatever the fuck you get off on, right? I can't wait for my next bowl of egg noodles and garlic knots. That's right. Anyway, yeah. Or a bowl of rice, plain rice. I can't wait. Yeah, obviously it would take a lot of deprivation for you to find that satisfying, unless you grew up on it or something, right? So anyway, yeah, seeing purpose in others is obviously really the only thing that you can drive you at this point. I see purpose in that person's eyes, but I cannot wait to take their purpose away because that's the only goal I have. That's my purpose, and that's the purpose that's going to get my end game. That's going to satisfy my desires, and just, obviously to a certain extent, my purpose is to see purpose in other people. Okay, but that only goes so far. I see purpose now. What? Nothing. You see purpose in someone else, and you got to do something about it. Otherwise, okay, I can see purpose in you. I'm gonna go, twiddle my anus and jerk off or whatever. I mean, tie my balls up in a freaking bun or something. I mean, I don't know. It's nothing. It doesn't do anything. Everything we do means nothing. It's futile. It's dust in the freaking wind. Like a fly off your shoulder. It doesn't mean anything. It means everything, but it means nothing. It means everything because everything's built off of everything that's happened in the past, but it doesn't mean anything except for the value, and the value is based on the nothing of deprivation. The deprivation means something, but it means nothing because we're not doing anything except satisfying that deprivation. That ends up being nothing in the end. Zero. It means negative. I mean, when you want to talk about emptiness in life, when you look at it as a negative, it just shows us how pointless it is. It doesn't accomplish anything. And I think the perception is something that really helps. It's a very painful perception, recognizing life this way, but there's nothing else to do. There's a one way. The smarter you get, the more likely you're going to get to this conclusion. And it may seem like I'm peddling my own ass when I'm saying that, but I'm just saying, to a certain degree, that's the truth. It's a perceptual understanding of reality. To a certain extent, you don't have to have the perception to understand it. You just have to understand it intellectually enough about the facts and know the facts enough to realize that it doesn't necessarily have to be an emotional or psychological endeavor. It can just be an intellectual endeavor where you can understand ABC as opposed to feeling ABC, the components of ABC. So obviously it's important to understand to a certain extent. I have a little taste of it to understand, but to a certain extent it takes more taste than others, and people just sometimes reinforce their own desires. Just because it's too late and just because you're last on the bandwagon, like I mentioned before, doesn't mean that you can't jump on the bandwagon now. And you don't feel like crap because you're late and you feel like you're being, considered stupid because you're jumping last on the bandwagon, and therefore you're just going to reinforce your own beliefs anymore, your own preconceived beliefs that you had before. Don't create stronger convictions in the wrong. Create new convictions in the right. It doesn't matter. The right is always going to win over whatever extent of wrong that you're believing in, or deluding yourself, or accepting yourself in denial in. It's about getting to the truth, and even the smallest truth step forward towards the truth is more meaningful than whatever infinite feeling of positivity you feel like regressing to the back. It's about getting towards the truth, and the truth is the only thing that exists. And you thinking something happening a certain way doesn't change the fact that something is happening a certain way, because your thought process doesn't change the facts of reality, except it exists, and your thought process exists, and that itself is an interaction inside of reality. So there's nothing more than this interaction. There's purpose, and you're going to eliminate that purpose. So I mean, that's really the video. There's nothing else to add. Seeing purpose in others' eyes, when I have to eliminate it, my purpose, and I eliminate their purpose, but the purpose is nothing. It's this. I can't grab at it. It doesn't do anything. I can't. This is life. Grab. I can't. It's just like my movement of my arms. I can't do anything except do this. Yeah, I'm opening, throwing. I could be catching, I could be throwing. What am I doing? I'm throwing and catching in both hands. It's just like a well of water, a water well. It's not doing anything. It's like a water wheel. It doesn't do. It's just pulling out water, sucking in water, bucketing out water, pouring water out. It's not doing anything. It's giving what it gets, and it's only getting more what it. It's only getting more than it's giving. So I mean, your life's getting more out of us than it's giving back because we're in the game. That's the only way life can work. So I think that's it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Obviously get more comfortable in front of the camera. That's obviously helpful. So yeah, purpose, to see purpose in others. I mean, I don't need to go over it again. Obviously we can all understand that. So yeah, purpose in others. We're gonna eliminate that. Ooh. Anyway, I think that's all I need to mention. So thank you, and until next time, if I have anything else to say on this subject, I obviously will mention it in another video. So thank you, until next time, bye.